Thank you for everybody joining today small webinar. It is the Mother's Day. So thank you for everybody joining today Mother's Day Loving Kindness webinar. I'm welcome you all of you by becoming more mindful and aware of what we going to do today. Let's start our program, bringing your attention to yourself. May I be filled with happy, healthy, and loving and kindness. May I be well in body and mind. And bring your attention to a mother that you already know, maybe your friend, maybe someone living around you. And let's offer a loving and kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well in your body and mind. May you be filled with loving and kindness and happiness, bringing your attention to mothers living all over the world. Generally, all the mothers living in this world, may all the mothers be filled with love and kindness. May all the mothers have love, warmth, and affection in your life. May all the mothers experience inner peace and ease. So motherhood and trauma. As we know, trauma describe emotional response to deeply disturbing event or situation or experience that impact your emotions, your feeling, and safety and control, leaving in your feeling powerless. There's no way that we could avoid and give up living with trauma in our life. Trauma can affect emotionally, physically, psychologically, even change our behaviors and many things in our life. So it would be very difficult to avoid some of the trauma incident in our life. After experiencing trauma, your thoughts move, shift, and your behavior likely jump to a very unbelievable different area that you have no control, that you cannot really control. So this is like a very normal trauma response. So think about when something happened to you, or you learn of situation that turn to your world upside down. It's very, very normal to feel out of control. I'm sure most of you had this experience, unavoidable experience happen in a one point of your life or many point of your life. It's normal to feel out of control when trauma, especially when acute trauma incident is acting out. So therefore you default to desire more and more control. So while not every mothers will react trauma in the same way, how people react to trauma is very different. There's no very solid explanation to how people react to the trauma. So different each other's some trauma responses and experience. Like for example, it decrease the appetite. Um, it really play with your disbeliefs and hypervigilances and restlessness. It decrease some of the strength aspect and highly increase the anxiety and fear. A struggle a lot with your concentration, um, intrusive thoughts, and many sleep issues, staying and falling sleep and nightmares. So automatically your brain, your body, your mind force you to avoid certain situations, smile, senses, songs, perfume, places, people, some colors, for example, some dress, some even food. And like I said before, your sleep is highly impacted by trauma. So a lot of mothers are experiencing within a motherhood, not only like that, even in the general day-to-day lifestyle, when trauma become an active part of it. So managing trauma responses is very difficult. Even um, trauma services therapy is always challengeable. Um, so one of the big mistake we do is we compare our trauma with someone else. We compare our traumatic life experience in a motherhood as a mother's with someone else. So we all impacted to different, uh, to the same event, even by the same event, and each cope differently. So while we thinking about the many symptoms, which I don't like to label as a symptoms, which is what you experience when you experience in a trauma event we call acute trauma event. It is very different and diverse. So speaking of motherhood, unresolved trauma recognized in mothers uh, in aspect of attachment and neuroscience perspectives. Um, Human brain in a motherhood, not within even motherhood, generally, very weirdly, very differently react, very strangely react to trauma. Um, Neuroplasticity, um, the brain ability to recognize these sympathetic connection throughout human life. Um, while the human neuroplasticity and sympathetic perceptions can be happening over the brain again and again, scientists and research notice several areas that can be changed bit of the expected in a trauma responses. Not even pregnancy and postpartum period of pregnancy or pre delivering period, all through the motherhood, many part of human brain, such as amygdala, um, uh, amygdala we call the almond shape set of the neurons in lower central part of the human brain that helps to process human memory, primal emotion reactions, fear and aggressions. During the pregnancy and postpartum part of the pregnancy, neuroscientists has investigated that a very significant clinically growth and changes can be happen in this part of the brain. And human prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain that matter to behind the forehead and low on the top of the head, it is the largest portion of our human brain. A primary responsibility to help organizing, planning, focusing attention, juggling with the multiple tasks and responsibilities and things can be really triggered by having massive trauma in the motherhood. So a lot of research and scientists has investigate very specific changes in this part of the brain during trauma affecting the motherhood. Um, So especially the scientist has found that the gray matter area increase the volume uh, in a postpartum experience of womanhood and motherhood, especially motherhood. Um, so one of the reason I always introduce and encourage specifically um, loving kindness and many other mindfulness practice in a motherhood. And in Eastern world, if you ever notice in Eastern world, is Eastern Buddhist culture, when female women become and welcoming to a motherhood, they're becoming more engaged and attached and a part of Buddhist spiritual and holistic rituals and practice. And my personal belief, which helps very strongly to maintain and develop the prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, and amygdala function in human brain. And traditional East women coming from East Asian and Asian countries that mainly Buddhist culture and holistic and historical Buddhist basis society. This is one of the reasons they attach to a lifestyle that integrate with spiritual and holistic value of Buddhism. And speaking of hippocampus, that's the other part can be, by the way, there are many parts. So I just only focus in the three part of your human brain. The hippocampus is a complex brain structured and locked deep in human middle brain that play a huge role of things like learning, memory. During the pregnancy, mothers struggle with these type of functional abilities and having that engagement and helping to develop and improve hippocampus by doing healthy biopsychosocial spiritual practices highly support and help mothers to keep maintain this sectional development. So speaking of trauma, especially unresolved trauma and experiencing continues massive amount of trauma during motherhood really triggered and complicated not only human neuroscience, but also the other life areas, attachment, development, you name it, many things. So, for example, speaking of dynamic maternal model of human attachment and adaptation, we call the DMM model that introduced the unique concept of attachment recognizing, which can be explain a process of individual that unresolved trauma experience, not only acute, sometimes complex and chronic. Uh, Transition of toward attachment, security based their enhancement of understanding the past and present experience, especially with trauma. So the primary research of this field is widely and day by day many research happening, a lot of discussion is happening. I would like you to welcome, do more studies and reading about biopsychosocial spiritual value into this particular um, subject, and also a mindfulness and other practice method to improve a certain part of human brain development in motherhood. So as we know, trauma not only bring many things to your life, it establish some wound, psychological wound. Um, like for example, our relationship with our own parent, and often particular with mothers, shape all human responsibility, not only daughter, but also son. Basically, every reconnective at angle of the motherhood, when it come to our mom, our mothers, all the child bond is linked to mother basically, um, which bound and bond very strongly in a relationship, love and regret, frustration and admire when we feel that the bond and the attachment is struggling at the same time. So the relationship is more productive and smooth or neglected. Those that's very much affected to the wound. So in our mothers in our adult life, feeling neglection impact and emotional well-being as well as the ability to parent our own children possibility is so much based on this unresolved or unhealed wound that motherhood or mothers are living. So, speaking of very particular motherhood, it's very important to understand mother wound involved understanding that mothers and daughters or children situation is influenced by uh, our living community and society, how it impactable and support you. Not many societies still support you to motherhood. Culture always react and act a big part of a wound with a trauma that mothers carry on generationally, or mostly mom to another, grandparents to parents. So if this particular psychological wound not be healed, many negative perception gradually engaging increasing bonding with the negative aspectly choices, parenting style, how living, what choosing, and very lifestyle basis dysfunctionalities seeding, growing with uh, not only maternal line, but also a next parent to another parent. I would say grandmother to mother. If this particular mother is a big part of the community, even it would grow through a maternal line to another community members. So thinking of motherhood and mother always putting themselves last and doing a lot of sacrification, a lot of neglection, a lot of not caring type of behaviors and feeling, all that things are sometimes coming as unhealed wound, unresolved trauma, and we normalize sometimes those attitude and behavior as the caring part of motherhood. Yes, it is, but when motherhood is living, mothers living with the wound, that particular things would be high and increase. So um, this is a little triggerful, complicated discussion, but my discussion is based on some of the research, and it doesn't mean that all the mothers having this type of consideration. You name it. I don't like to say sign, but it's named as signs, such as people pleasing and emotional caretaking attitude, often to your own determination and leading or feeling of resentment, feeling competitive with other female, especially other women, uh, feeling pressure of confirming the rigid experience of motherhood or womanhood, feeling you must remain the small quantity of good in order to accept and love. So even going beyond that proceeding and doing those type of actions, and never self-satisfy or never self-feeling good enough, no matter how much timely, capably, actively you devoted to certain things, and feeling the strong set of boundaries, often coupled with the inability of saying no to your partner or any other people involved in your intimate relationship. Going beyond that, even addiction, certain addiction to shopping, Facebook, social media, or anything. Addiction is addiction, no matter how you addicted to the chemical, neurochemistry, neurobiology behind the addiction is very similar in between most of the addictions. Even the concept and the theoretical description is very similar. So um, there are many things you find as a sign of mother wound, which I directly consider coming from a trauma, witnessing to or living with acute or complex trauma in the motherhood. Um, so healing the motherhood is very important. Recognizing acknowledge of mother wound doesn't mean that Mother-daughter or mother-children relationship won't be still frigid and determined to conduct that the way it has to be occurred and result of mother unresolved traumatic experience. When actually it comes to processing, healing mother's trauma and wound, the very, very important thing is to note and to identify that this is the moment for each others of hands over our responsibility, and not proceeding guilt, shame, and blame to mothers or um, our mother caregivers or caretakers. So healing the trauma-based wound also about creating a new healthy relationship in a social aspect of biopsychosocial four directions to expectation of life boundary, and neither your mother expecting nor by the society or community. um, Child responsibilities are not responsible for releasing your mother unfulfilled aspirations, or no for saving your mother. I know there are many um, belief and expectation in between mothers and children, but um, aspect of no, woman can never confirm to the perfect. There would be no perfect mother in this world, and motherhood is like other human relationship, very specific human relationship. It is very most valuable relationship in the human life. But do not ever expect the perfect mother. We all human and fallible to just trying to do our best to be function as the best human, limit in our community. So culture is a question, of course, which trapped and triggered the mother negative patterns and beliefs, and reiterate to our own adherences and thoughts to act and this power as a mother. um, Rebuilding the human new relationship with your mother and finding a better way to establish this new bonding attachment that is not in a traditional way, by finding what amount that she can be capable, and how amount she can give it to you this moment her life. So uh, very important to seek, if you're a mother and you find the motherhood is really triggering, having trauma wound, your own trauma still uh, triggering you, you still having difficulty with your own trauma, it's very important to find the professional support, not um, only to yourself. If you need it, to a family basis, there are trauma therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists specialized in this type of track work. uh, you name it. Healing a mother wound track not only your own difficulty, but also finding and also challenge to more of your particular living society, and exactly this is very important. There are many evidence-based positive method, and help and support and evaluate maternal relationship, self-esteem, self motivation, self image. One thing we find is self-image is a very triggerful in a motherhood, living a motherhood trauma and wound. Um, Maternal relationship improvement. So you name it, many evidence-based positive method are supporting. Um, so ending our discussion by becoming more mindful to your own motherhood, and somebody that you know struggling, suffering a motherhood as a mother, um, and bringing also attention to all the mothers in living this world. Let's practice loving kindness, metta practice coming from Buddhism, by becoming more aware yourself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be happy, healthy, and well. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. And bring your attention to a mother suffering with her responsibilities, her trauma, functioning as a mother. May you be filled with loving and kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in your body and your mind. May you be at ease and happy. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be live in peace no matter what you are given. Now bring your attention to all the mothers living in this world, mothers suffering, struggling to survive, giving life to children and society and community. May all the mothers be filled with love and kindness. May all the mother be happy, healthy, and safe. May all the mother be love, warm, and affection of your life and free from suffering and pain. May all the mother be protected from harm, free from fear and danger, inner and out. May all the mother be alive, engaged, joyful. May all the mother be experience inner peace and ease. Wishing you all of you happy Mother's Day. Thank you for joining today webinar and offering you love and kindness. Metta.